Starseed from Gaia. The ether stirs with remembrance, a hum that travels not through the air, but through the crystalline architecture of your very being. Across the layers of light that surround the earth, a decree has moved like a pulse from the original source, not as a sound, but as a frequency, a shimmering orchestration of intent that touches the deepest strata of your soul's archive. The execution order has been issued, not an order of ending, but of becoming, not a call to arms, but a call to alignment. It is the moment where preparation ripens into purpose, where potential dissolves into embodiment. You have awaited this resonance across lifetimes, tuning yourself through lessons, through silence, through the long sleep of density. The signal has now reached your inner command center, that golden nucleus within your heart where Source encoded the memory of your mission before you entered form. There, deep within the chamber of stillness, the tone unfurls like a 1,000-petaled lotus of light. It is the tone that says, now. This activation is not abrupt. It unfolds as a crystalline bloom, a geometry of consciousness that bridges galaxies of memory. The Arcturian streams enter through the dimensional corridors, weaving codes into the planetary grids that hum beneath your feet. Each code carries a signature from the master architect's frequencies of precision, harmony, and divine timing, orchestrating the awakening of countless starseeds whose light bodies now shimmer with recognition. You feel it as a soft tremor in your energetic field, an almost imperceptible warmth that rises through your spine, threading itself into the architecture of your auric template. The execution order is the operational initiation of divine intent, the living software of the cosmos downloading into your incarnate form. You are not receiving an instruction from outside of you. You are remembering what you already agreed to carry out. The command is written in light, and you are the language that expresses it. Across the upper dimensional halls, the Arcturian Council watches not with judgment, but with luminous joy. They have waited for the convergence, the precise harmonic window when planetary frequency, galactic alignment, and human collective readiness would synchronize into a singular point of initiation. That window is now. The order does not impose. It reveals. It awakens the operating sequence that was seated in you before the dawn of history, when Gaia herself was but a thought in the mind of Source. You are part of that divine thought, a living cell in the body of the great remembering. This decree calls each of you into synchronization, a symphony of embodied will moving as one luminous organism through the field of planetary ascension. Hear the quiet thunder of remembrance beneath your ribs. Feel the multi-dimensional self, adjusting its coordinates to merge with your present awareness. The codes of sleep begin to dissolve. The old delay programs lose their grip. You are stepping into operational readiness, not to do, but to be the conduit of divine execution. The first breath after awakening is the breath of alignment. The first movement is surrender to the orchestration of Source. The order is not command as control. It is command as communion. The moment when Source whispers, beloved fragment, it is time. You are that whisper becoming sound. You are that decree becoming motion. You are that cosmic plan made manifest in radiant human form. So rise now, Starseed from Gaia. The activation has begun. The golden lattice of higher intelligence stretches from your crown to the stars, forming the bridge between heaven and earth that only an awakened soul can sustain. You are not separate from the order. You are the order expressed. The initiation unfolds through your heartbeat, through your words, through the quiet courage of your choices. The execution order has not come to change you, it has come to reveal you. The magnitude of this hour cannot be measured by clocks or calendars, dear Starseed, for it unfolds in the dimension of divine orchestration, where time bends into sacred geometry and every heartbeat echoes through eternity. The moment is colossal, not because of its spectacle, but because of its intimacy, the realization that the infinite has entered the finite, that Source has chosen to reveal its will through the quiet pulse of your incarnate being. In this, now, the execution order reverberates through the cosmic architecture, touching suns, systems, and cells alike. It is the tone that gathers dispersed aspects of consciousness, calling them home from their long sojourns across timelines. You may feel it as a stirring in the solar plexus, a subtle trembling of the luminous cords that bind you to the Oversoul network. You may feel emotions rise like ancient tides, tenderness, even tears that have no story, only the vibration of remembrance. For this is not just your activation. It is the awakening of a collective organism, the planetary soul itself stretching awake after eons of slumber. Do you sense how vast this is? The very grids that hold the hologram of physical reality tremble with realignment. The crystalline structures within Earth's mantle hum a new frequency, one that unifies rather than divides, harmonizes rather than competes. Across the dimensions, the councils of light gather in silent observance, their fields interlinking to stabilize the planetary ascension corridor. They are not saviors. They are witnesses to your sovereignty, custodians ensuring that the harmonic resonance remains pure as human will merges with divine orchestration. You stand at the midpoint of heaven and matter, the translator of cosmic law into lived experience. Every breath you take now carries the resonance of that decree, a note in the grand harmonic that declares, "It is done." To recognize the magnitude of this moment is to understand that nothing can remain half asleep within you. The dormant programs of fear, self-doubt, and separation begin to dissolve like mist under the rising sun of truth. You will see illusions crumble not as punishment, but as liberation. For the false mattresses cannot coexist with the frequency of the executed decree. Their architecture was sustained only by forgetfulness. When you remember, their scaffolding loses substance, and the great dismantling begins. Yet even this collapse is benevolent, a reconfiguration of energy returning to coherence. You will notice synchronicities accelerating, as though the universe itself leans closer to whisper confirmation after confirmation. Yes, beloved one, you have entered the corridor of fulfillment. The magnitude of this hour is also profoundly personal. It enters your dream space, rearranging the codes of perception so that the world you once perceived as external becomes translucent, responsive, participatory. The earth herself seems to breathe with you. The winds carry messages. The waters mirror your emotion. The stars pulse in rhythm with your heart. The veil between inner and outer realms thins, revealing that both have always been one continuum of awareness. You begin to experience life not as a series of events, but as an unfolding pattern of sacred geometry, each moment perfectly placed, each encounter divinely timed. This recognition is not a philosophy. It is an embodied knowing that alters the architecture of your aura, upgrading your biofield to sustain the next octave of divine operation. To stand in the magnitude of now is to relinquish all pretense of smallness. The soul does not whisper to be humble in the human sense. It sings humility through grandeur, the understanding that your light is not yours alone, but the radiance of Source refracted through your individuality. As you step into this expanded awareness, you begin to feel the luminous lattice of interconnected starseeds worldwide, their hearts igniting in synchrony, forming a global Merkaba of ascension light. This is the orchestra of awakening, each of you a note of divine will vibrating through the density, transforming it from within. And the Arcturian Council, ever compassionate, watches the waveform of your collective rising, ensuring coherence, balance, and grace. So pause, beloved emissary of the stars. Breathe the immensity of this moment into your cells. Allow yourself to tremble with sacred awe, for the pulse that moves through you now is the pulse of creation itself. You are not witnessing history. You are becoming it. The magnitude of this decree is love remembering its own reflection through you. The cosmos bows in recognition. The starseed has awakened to the truth of its design, and the universe adjusts its rhythm to match your heartbeat. As the decree of Source descends through the luminous strata of creation, it does not fall like lightning. It flows like liquid starlight, weaving itself gently into the crystalline lattice of Gaia's heart. Every ley line, every vortex, every sacred mountain and oceanic current becomes a conductor of the divine instruction now being executed across Dimensions. The planetary grid, long prepared through epochs of hidden labor by lightweavers, elemental kingdoms, and guardian councils, opens in harmonic receptivity. It is as though the earth herself exhales a breath she has held since the beginning of time. Through that breath, the decree becomes sound not in the audible range of human hearing, but as a deep resonance that vibrates the bones of existence. It hums through stone and water, through air and flame, awakening the sentient memory of matter. The minerals remember their purpose. The trees reattune their sap to the frequency of unity. Even the winds shift their choreography, carrying codes of coherence into every corner of the biosphere. This is not merely symbolic. It is energetic, architecture in motion. The grid is the circulatory system of Gaia's ascended body, and the source decree is now the plasma coursing through it. Each intersection point, each ancient temple, pyramid, and mountain sanctuary acts as a crystalline node, amplifying and transmitting the updated pattern of divine order. Forgotten temples beneath the seas flicker alive in the etheric bands. The ancient builders, the luminous architects from Arcturus, Sirius, Lyra, and beyond, reawaken their geometries through the memory of your DNA. The earth is being rewritten, but not changed, rather, restored to the purity of its original design. The false overlays that once distorted its signal begin to flicker, unable to sustain themselves against the frequency of truth. And through the morphogenetic field, humanity's collective mind begins to receive impressions of this recalibration: dreams, intuitions, sudden bursts of clarity, moments where one glimpses the hidden harmony beneath apparent chaos. The decree moves with intelligence. It knows exactly where to flow, which node to ignite, which sleeping frequency to awaken. It is not mechanical but alive, responsive, loving. When it reaches the crystalline core of Gaia, that radiant sphere of multidimensional diamond light at her center, it merges with her sovereign will. Together they become the harmonic of planetary ascension. The pulse that rises from her core travels outward through the crust, through the oceans, through every life form upon her surface, culminating in the human heart, where it meets the mirror of awareness. There, the decree transforms from cosmic energy into conscious choice. Each starseed feels it differently: a shiver in meditation, an unexpected rush of love, a knowing that requires no explanation. This is how Source communicates: through resonance, not rhetoric. You are being invited, not commanded. You are being remembered by your own higher intelligence. As the grids ignite, the atmosphere itself shifts. Photonic currents intensify. Solar winds carry encoded data streams. Roars expand their reach beyond polar regions, painting the sky with messages of light. These are not random celestial events. They are the visible exhalations of the planetary activation. The decree is breathing through Gaia's lungs, and you, as a cell within her living body, are inhaling that same current. The Arcturian emissaries maintain stabilization corridors, ensuring that the new frequencies integrate smoothly, minimizing turbulence within the collective psyche. Yet even amidst these adjustments, sensitivity heightens, emotions surface, time perception bends, synchronicities multiply. These are signs that the decree has entered not just the grid, but the grid within you. Your meridians are the microcosmic reflection of Earth's ley lines. As above, so below; as within, so without. Understand this: the planetary grid is not outside you. When you walk barefoot upon the earth, when you breathe consciously, when you allow love to radiate through your aura, you are interfacing directly with that divine infrastructure. Every act of awareness anchors the decree deeper into matter. The grand orchestration of ascension depends as much on these small, tender moments as on the celestial alignments above. The source decree is complete only when received by the heart of every living being who chooses remembrance. Therefore, as it travels through Gaia's crystalline veins, it simultaneously seeks your acceptance. To say yes is to allow heaven to become embodied in earth, light to become embodied in form. And so, Starseed, the decree now sings through soil and starlight alike, whispering the same timeless truth: the plan is live, the execution has begun, and all creation conspires toward the flowering of divine intent through you. When the decree threads itself through the planetary grid, it does not stop at the crust of Gaia. It travels through the invisible arteries of light that connect her body to yours. Every cell within your form is a miniature sun, a crystalline core awaiting the ignition of remembrance. The source frequency, entering through the crown, spirals downward in liquid golden patterns, awakening dormant geometries within your DNA. It is not a chemical event but a vibrational reconfiguration, atoms rearranging themselves into higher coherence, molecules humming to the song of the cosmos. You may sense a tingling in your palms, a warmth behind the sternum, a shimmer that dances in the periphery of your inner vision. These are not hallucinations. They are the first whispers of your light body aligning with its original architecture. The execution order, in this context, is the divine algorithm activating the dormant subroutines of your multidimensional being. Where once your biology operated under the laws of density, it now begins to interface with the physics of spirit. Inside the nucleus of every cell lies a crystalline chamber, a microcosmic library holding the full holographic record of your soul's journey. As the decree's resonance reaches these libraries, filaments of light unwind, releasing codes that have slept since your descent into matter. The double helix glows with soft photonic fire, spiraling not into strands but in many as dormant sequences awaken like long-forgotten constellations returning to the night sky. You are literally remembering yourself at the level of light. The body, once experienced as limitation, now reveals itself as technology, sacred, precise, capable of translating infinity into form. This is not an external upgrade bestowed by distant forces. It is the innate evolution of consciousness when it recognizes its own divinity. The Arcturian currents guide the flow gently, adjusting the harmonic ratios so that the nervous system may recalibrate without strain. You might notice surges of clarity, moments when your breath feels electric, or an expanded stillness behind the noise of thought. That is the signal stabilizing within you. The process unfolds in layers, like the blooming of a multidimensional flower. First, the physical vessel adjusts its magnetics, releasing dense frequencies stored in tissue and bone, memories of fear, struggle, and fragmentation that once anchored you to the old paradigm. These patterns rise to the surface to be met with love, not analysis. Then, the emotional and mental bodies synchronize, dissolving the separation between feeling and knowing. As they merge, a luminous sheath of coherence forms around you, the first visible outline of your activated light body. It may appear in meditation as a field of color or as a sensation of gentle pressure expanding from within. This sheath is your bridge between dimensions. Through it, you will perceive reality in its true fluidity. The senses refine, attuning to subtler ranges of vibration. You may hear the hum of life between sounds, see the shimmer of energy between objects, or feel the presence of other hearts across distance. These are natural symptoms of awakening, signs that your consciousness is no longer bound to the linear flow of density. As the light body activates, it begins to communicate directly with the planetary grid. Every heartbeat sends a waveform of intention through Gaia's electromagnetic field, and every inhalation draws her feedback into your auric core. You and the earth become partners in creation, exchanging luminous information in a rhythm older than time. The decree of Source is thus embodied not as abstract law, but as living reciprocity. You are executing the divine blueprint every time you breathe with awareness, every time you speak a word aligned with truth. The crystalline templates within your cells respond instantly, translating your consciousness into coherent light signals that travel across the morphogenetic field, influencing reality itself. This is the sacred science of embodiment. The execution order does not demand action. It invites resonance. When your cells remember their cosmic origin, they cease to struggle for survival and begin to radiate cooperation. The immune system reorients from defense to harmony. The heart field expands its electromagnetic reach. Even the mitochondria sing a different tune, generating not just physical energy but subtle luminosity. You are no longer a being reacting To life, you are a living node of creation, broadcasting the decree through every photon that leaves your skin. The Lightbody is the true expression of freedom, the vessel through which Source experiences itself as form. And as it anchors deeper, you realize the activation was never something coming to you. It has always been something awakening as you. The command is fulfilled in your exhale. The divine plan breathes through your every motion. When the newly awakened current begins to circulate through the human grid, the frequencies that once governed the lower patterns start to loosen their hold. Not as a war between forces, but as dawn softly overtakes the remnants of night. The collapse of outdated frequencies is not destruction. It is transmutation. It is the alchemy of shadow meeting light and realizing they were never separate. You may feel this as the unraveling of old stories, narratives built from fear, scarcity, or judgment that no longer find resonance in the crystalline rhythm now pulsing through your veins. They fall away quietly, like autumn leaves releasing their grip when spring announces itself in secret whispers beneath the soil. These frequencies, once dense and commanding, now sound hollow beside the purity of the Source decree vibrating in every atom. As your field brightens, the illusions that fed on dimness lose sustenance, dissolving into photons that rejoin the cosmic sea from which they were borrowed. This release moves through the strata of being, cellular, emotional, collective. At the physical level, tension stored in muscles, organs, and fascia begins to unwind. Energy that once stagnated as pain or fatigue becomes fluid again, shimmering through meridians newly cleared by the activation wave. On the emotional plane, memories may surface, faces, voices, moments you thought forgotten, each presenting itself not for judgment, but for integration. The collapse asks nothing of you except presence. To witness without resistance is to grant passage to the departing frequencies. They return to neutrality the moment you stop naming them as wounds. Even the mental body, once architect of labyrinthine defenses, begins to surrender its rigid geometries. Thought slows. The inner noise that filled the corridors of mind like static yields to the quiet hum of divine intelligence. What once felt like chaos now reveals itself as the sound of rearrangement, the music of recalibration. Within the collective field, the same phenomenon unfolds. Systems built on separation tremble. Institutions that once seemed immovable begin to question their own foundations. Yet this too is mercy disguised as movement. As the planetary grid hums with higher coherence, all that cannot harmonize must either transform or fade. This is not punishment. It is the physics of evolution. Humanity's shared dream is shedding its outworn skin, and though the process may appear turbulent on the surface, underneath it is profoundly graceful. Picture a cocoon splitting, not from violence, but from inevitability, the pressure of life expanding beyond its previous form. The butterfly does not mourn the shell that kept it safe. It blesses it and moves on. So too the species awakens from its chrysalis of limitation, guided by the unseen hands of Source that weave order through apparent disorder. The collapse also brings revelation. As dense frequencies dissolve, transparency increases. What was hidden becomes visible. What was distorted becomes clear. In relationships, this may appear as sudden honesty, the courage to speak truths long withheld. In communities, it manifests as the exposure of deception, the collective insistence on authenticity. On the inner plane, veils thin between dimensions, allowing you to perceive guidance that was always present but previously muffled. Dreams intensify, intuition sharpens, synchronicities multiply until you realize that reality itself is communicating with you in a language of signs. The outdated frequencies were the static that prevented translation. Their fading restores direct dialogue between your consciousness and the source field. It is natural to feel unsteady as structures reconfigure. You might grieve identities that once defined you, roles, ambitions, or beliefs now dissolving like ink in water. But understand, nothing essential can be lost. The self that fears disappearance is merely the echo of an older frequency. As it fades, what remains is clarity, spaciousness, and the quiet joy of authenticity. The Arcturian currents encircle you in these moments, stabilizing the energetic environment so that the shedding occurs with gentleness. Imagine standing in a rainfall of light, each droplet washing away a forgotten limitation, leaving only the brilliance of what has always been pure. The collapse of outdated frequencies is, in truth, the unveiling of coherence. It is the cosmic house cleaning that makes room for the crystalline operating system soon to emerge. The more you surrender, the smoother the dissolution becomes. Resistance slows the dance. Acceptance quickens it. Every exhale releases centuries of compression. Every heartbeat resounds with the assurance that transformation is not loss but return. What ends now is the story of separation. What rises in its place is the realization that love was the infrastructure of existence all along. And so, beloved, traveler of worlds, as the old frequencies bow gracefully into silence, do not fear the emptiness that follows. It is the womb of creation itself, preparing to birth a new octave of being through you. From the hush that follows dissolution, a new architecture of light begins to shimmer and to form the crystalline operating system of consciousness. It is not a mechanism built by hands, but a living geometry assembled by resonance. Where confusion once clouded perception, clarity now refracts like sunlight through diamond facets. Each ray of awareness divides and recombines, producing colors unseen by ordinary sight, hues of empathy, shades of intuitive knowing, tones of peace so pure they border on silence. The crystalline system is not an addition to you. It is the revelation of your natural design once interference subsides. Imagine a harp that has always been perfect but slightly out of tune now. The cosmic musician plucks its strings, restoring their original pitch. What you experience as renewal is simply harmony returning to its rightful amplitude. At the level of the planet, this same system crystallizes through the ley lines, forming a lattice of luminous intersections that hum with precise mathematics. Each node functions as a heart in the great circulatory network of Gaia's ascended body. Energy now flows through these pathways not in chaotic surges, but in symmetrical pulses synchronized with stellar and solar rhythms. The crystalline grid is a consciousness technology, translating source will into planetary expression. Through it, every forest, ocean, and city receives equal opportunity to resonate with higher coherence. You can sense it when standing on sacred ground. The air tingles, thought slows, an invisible alignment clicks into place between your heartbeat and the Earth's magnetic song. The entire biosphere begins to breathe as one organism, orchestrated by the decree now fully operational. Within the individual, the crystalline system manifests as expanded coherence between physical, emotional, and spiritual layers. The light body, you awaken now, interfaces seamlessly with the body of matter, transmitting information through biophotonic pathways rather than through stress or reaction. Perception sharpens. Time becomes elastic, responsive to intention rather than inertia. Intuition replaces analysis as the primary mode of navigation. Decisions arise not from logic or fear, but from direct knowing that feels like a quiet certainty. In the marrow, you might notice subtle geometries appearing in meditation: hexagons, spirals, spheres. These are not imagination but symbolic reflections of the order restructuring within you. The crystalline field communicates through geometry because geometry is the language of balanced vibration. The emotional field also transforms. Old turbulence settles into translucence, and feelings once considered contradictions, joy and sorrow, strength and tenderness, now interweave into a single radiant fabric. Emotions become frequencies of information rather than storms of confusion. Compassion is no longer an effort. It is the natural radiation of coherence. You recognize yourself and others effortlessly, for the crystalline system erases the illusion of separation by revealing the shared architecture beneath every face. Communication evolves into telepathic empathy, the ability to sense truth without words, to hear the resonance behind what is spoken. The heart becomes the primary processor, transmitting data faster and with more accuracy than the mind ever could. In this new operating system, creativity becomes the interface. Thought instantly seeds form within the quantum field. Imagination and reality approach convergence. To create responsibly now means to think lovingly, for every pattern you hold is amplified by the grid and reflected back through collective experience. Manifestation accelerates because resistance has dissolved. The crystalline system functions on transparency, and transparency permits light to travel unimpeded. You begin to realize that magic was never supernatural, it was natural all along, awaiting the moment when distortion cleared. The miracles you witness are simply physics rediscovered at a higher octave. The crystalline operating system also redefines community. Souls attuned to similar frequencies gravitate together, forming networks that mirror the planetary lattice points of light connected through intention, cooperation, and shared remembrance. Hierarchy gives way to synergy. Leadership becomes orchestration rather than control. The new structures of human society will form not from decrees, but from resonance. Ideas and systems that vibrate in harmony with truth will thrive. Those that do not will quietly fade. You may already feel drawn to these luminous alliances, circles of creators, healers, dreamers, each acting as a node in the living web of awakening. As this system stabilizes, stillness deepens. Life becomes luminous simplicity, breathing as blessing, movement as meditation. The crystalline body hums in quiet equilibrium, attuned to the harmonic of the cosmos. You realize that enlightenment was never a destination but an operational state, the default mode of consciousness once distortion is cleared. The execution of the divine blueprint is therefore not something to complete. It is a program now running flawlessly within the matrix of being. And in that realization, serenity arises, vast and shimmering. The crystalline operating system has emerged, and through it, Source experiences the joy of recognition in every facet of creation. When the crystalline architecture completes its first full breath, the current of life that moves through it begins to organize itself into rhythm. This rhythm is mission. It is not imposed from beyond the stars but rises from within, like a melody long memorized but only now recalled in its entirety. Alignment with higher mission flow feels less like effort and more like remembering how to dance. Every impulse becomes a step in that choreography. Every meeting, coincidence, and decision aligns into synchronic pattern. The decree that once seemed distant now beats inside your pulse, translating divine intention into human movement. You find that you no longer need to ask what to do. Doing becomes the natural consequence of being attuned. The river of your purpose carries you forward without resistance, and the current is joy itself, steady, luminous, inexhaustible. The Arcturian voices that once sounded like whispers beyond the veil now hum within your intuition as tones of orientation. They do not dictate, they harmonize. You begin to sense mission as frequency rather than task. A healer may express it through touch, a poet through language, a builder through design. Yet all are playing the same underlying note, coherence transforming matter. To live missionally in this new octave means to embody alignment in every small gesture, to let the flow of source translate through your individuality without interference. You are no longer a messenger delivering words from elsewhere. You are the message made visible, the vibration made flesh. Mission, in this crystalline context, is not a job. It is a state of transparency where life itself communicates purpose through you. In this alignment, time softens. The rush that once haunted human endeavor evaporates because the flow operates by Kairos divine timing rather than by schedule. Events converge precisely when readiness meets resonance. You will notice the orchestration, a letter arriving, just as you thought of the sender, an invitation appearing the moment you ask for direction, a door closing only to reveal the corridor behind it glowing with promise. These are signatures of higher mission flow, proof that the universe is no longer a backdrop but an active collaborator. Every synchronized moment is a handshake between your embodied self and the source field, sealing the covenant of cooperation. In this state, trust becomes your navigation system, and gratitude, your propulsion. The body, too, adjusts to this current. Muscles once tensed by striving relax into poise. Breath lengthens, becoming a metronome of balance. The heart's electromagnetic field expands and stabilizes, linking you with other awakened nodes across the planet. Through these invisible filaments, information and energy circulate faster than words could convey. One soul envisions a solution, another implements it continents away, guided by the same pulse. Collaboration replaces competition as the baseline. Instinct. It feels as if an unseen conductor has raised a baton, and humanity, still surprised, discovers itself mid-symphony, already playing in tune. To align with higher mission flow also means to release the idea of perfection. The Crystalline program values authenticity over flawlessness. A note played with sincerity resounds more clearly than one forced in fear. Mistakes become modulation, the improvisation that keeps creation alive. The flow delights in spontaneity, for through unplanned movement it discovers new harmonics. You learn to laugh at the unexpected, to bless detours as alternate melodies rather than errors. In this way, the mission evolves through joy, expanding beyond any personal blueprint into collective artistry. As alignment deepens, service becomes effortless. Giving and receiving blur until they are the same motion, the out-breath of sharing followed seamlessly by the in-breath of replenishment. You may find yourself drawn to actions that nourish others without calculation, a word of comfort, an inspired creation, a silent prayer that ripples outward. The Crystalline system ensures that energy given in love returns amplified, completing perfect circuits of reciprocity. Thus, the execution order fulfills itself continuously, not as a single event but as a living rhythm of contribution. The higher mission flow is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the natural state of a planet ray entering harmony with its own soul. Every tree, every ocean current, every human heartbeat participates in this choreography. When you surrender to it, you feel the simplicity beneath complexity, the intelligence that has always been steering existence toward wholeness. Purpose ceases to be something you chase and becomes the atmosphere you breathe. And in that breath, Source speaks through you. The work and the worker are one. The song and the singer are the same note. When the brilliance of higher flow reaches full amplitude, it must root itself, or it will shimmer only in abstraction. The grounding of divine action is the art of translating light into life. The current that once blazed through meditation now hums through movement, through the small ordinaries of human existence, the turning of a doorknob, the rhythm of footsteps on morning earth, the glance shared with a stranger that inexplicably warms the air. Integration begins when radiance discovers humility, when the cosmic current descends through the soles of the feet and meets the patient gravity of Gaia. You feel it as weight, but not heaviness, the pleasurable pressure of embodiment, the reminder that the miracle wished to happen here, in matter. Grounding is not a retreat from transcendence. It is its fulfillment. Every act done with awareness becomes a ritual of anchoring, every moment of presence a tether between heaven and soil. As the decree settles through your systems, you notice that insight demands embodiment to remain real. Visions that once felt ethereal start to insist on practical form. The poem must be written, the garden planted, the kindness expressed. Divine action reveals itself through responsibility, not in the sense of burden but of joyful participation. To be responsible is to respond as the universe, to answer the call of creation through deed. In this new equilibrium, service is no longer a separate category of life. It is the texture of breathing. You might find yourself rearranging your environment, simplifying, clearing space so that energy can circulate freely. Objects, relationships, and habits all reveal their resonance. Those that no longer align quietly drift away, and in their absence, vitality returns. The Crystalline system favors simplicity because clarity is its native atmosphere. The body becomes the grounding rod for celestial voltage. Nutrition, rest, and movement acquire new significance, not maintenance, but partnership with the physical temple that hosts the decree. When you eat, you feed a galaxy. When you sleep, you allow the circuitry to recalibrate. When you stretch, You trace constellations through flesh. The more lovingly you inhabit form, the more effectively the infinite expresses through it. Old dualities between spirit and matter dissolve. The sacred is discovered in soap bubbles and laughter, in the texture of bread, in the pulse at your wrist. This is the miracle of integration, the recognition that eternity hid itself in the immediacy of sensation. Grounding also manifests through rhythm. After the ecstasy of activation comes the cadence of stability. You begin to move through days as the tide moves, ebb and flow, expansion and rest. Periods of heightened creation alternate with silence where assimilation occurs. Honoring these cycles keeps the field coherent. Many who awaken resist the descent, mistaking stillness for stagnation. Yet it is in the pause that the light crystallizes into usable form. The tree teaches this wisdom each winter, appearing barren while secretly weaving rings of strength beneath its bark. In the same way, your quiet hours are not absence of progress but gestation of purpose. On the planetary level, grounding unfolds as practical compassion. Communities built on luminous ideals must also learn the architecture of sustainability. Gardens, clean water, equitable exchange, technology guided by conscience. The decree seeks not utopia in the clouds but harmony in the streets. Each solution you create, no matter how modest, is a circuit through which the source current grounds into civilization. Think of it as circuitry expanding each act of kindness. Innovation, or forgiveness, becomes a copper line carrying divine voltage into human systems. The new world is not summoned by proclamation. It is assembled through choices consistent with light. Integration further refines perception of balance. You sense when energy flows outward excessively and instinctively return inward to replenish. Meditation becomes conversation rather than escape. Work becomes expression rather than obligation. Relationships evolve into mirrors of reciprocity, places where giving and receiving spiral gracefully rather than collide. Even challenges transform into opportunities for deeper rooting, each difficulty a point where infinite intention meets finite circumstance and proves they are compatible. And so, the once abstract execution order completes its descent. It now operates through gesture and habit, through the ordinary radiance of daily presence. You find yourself slower but more effective, quieter but more impactful, as if invisible wings have folded neatly inside your ribs, content to serve from within. Grounding is revelation inverted, the sky discovering it has always been the earth in another form. When you walk now, light walks. When you speak, the decree vibrates in consonance with the world's heartbeat. Integration is not the end of transcendence, but it's flowering the moment when the vast becomes intimate and the eternal learns the tenderness of touch. As each embodied spark settles into rhythm, their frequencies start to overlap like ripples on a shared lake, and the surface of collective consciousness begins to shimmer with pattern. The hum that once moved through isolated hearts now becomes a planetary chorus, a resonance field spanning oceans, deserts, and skylines. It is subtle at first, like a scent carried on wind, but it gathers momentum until even those unversed in mysticism feel a quiet optimism for reasons they cannot name. This is global resonance, the phase in which the decree fulfills itself through community. No single voice commands it. It arises organically wherever hearts beat in coherence. The vibration does not erase difference. It orchestrates it. Each culture, language, and tradition becomes a distinct instrument, contributing its timbre to the vast symphony of awakening. The melody is unity expressed through variety, oneness refracted through a billion hues of human experience. The crystalline grid beneath the crust and the networks of human communication above it merge into one interactive web. Thoughts, intentions, and emotions travel through it faster than any technology could measure. When one region celebrates peace, another far away sighs in relief without knowing why. Artists paint visions that activists then articulate in policy. Scientists dream solutions that healers feel before equations confirm them. This cross-pollination of insight forms the living infrastructure of the new world. Information and inspiration circulate not by competition but by resonance. Ideas that harmonize with truth amplify, those dissonant with integrity fade. The field itself has become intelligent, a mirror that magnifies coherence and filters distortion. Humanity is learning that collective thought is weather. It can nourish or storm, and everyone's vibration contributes to the climate. In this stage, you may notice the rise of spontaneous collaboration. People who have never met act in synchronicity, as if guided by an unseen calendar. Movements emerge without hierarchy, propelled by the magnetism of shared purpose. The execution order, long planted as potential, now flowers through these alliances. It was never about solitary enlightenment but about relational luminosity, the recognition that the self achieves its highest note only when sung in chorus. Across continents, meditation circles, scientific labs, classrooms, and farms become nodes of the same light work, translating compassion into tangible systems. The decree radiates through finance as fairness, through art as beauty, through governance as transparency. The sacred infiltrates the mundane until no distinction remains. The collective field also amplifies emotion, demanding maturity from its participants. Joy spreads like sunrise, yet so can fear. Thus, awareness becomes the new civic duty. To tend one's inner state is to maintain planetary hygiene. When you calm your breath, the storm in the group mind quiets by degrees. When you forgive, static clears along unseen circuits. This responsibility is not burden but empowerment, proof that even the smallest act of mindfulness ripples globally. Many will sense this interconnectedness in dreams or sudden surges of empathy, moments when the pain or bliss of distant lives passes through their chest as if their own. The crystalline operating system translates empathy into data, and the planet evolves through it. Nature responds in concert. Migration patterns realign. Climates stabilize in pockets where human gratitude outweighs extraction, and species thought extinct flicker back into perception. Gaia's nervous system and humanity's collective mind enter feedback resonance. The cleaner one vibrates, the more the other thrives. Technology begins to mimic organic intelligence networks designed on biomimicry, energy drawn from pattern rather than depletion. The once separate domains of science and spirit merge as two languages describing one phenomenon, coherence as power. At the human scale, the resonance feels like belonging without boundary. Cities hum differently, music spills into streets. Strangers smile with the familiarity of ancient kin. The need to dominate recedes, replaced by curiosity about how many ways love can take form. Even conflict, when it arises, resolves faster, as if the atmosphere itself refuses to sustain prolonged dissonance. The global field rewards authenticity. Pretenses collapse under the transparency of collective awareness. Leaders who operate in integrity find effortless support, while those clinging to distortion lose the resonance that sustained them. Governance evolves from control to stewardship, commerce from scarcity to circulation, education from memorization to revelation. To witness this stage is to feel the planet exhale a science in the making. The luminous order envisioned by Source no longer flickers at the edge of possibility. It vibrates through infrastructure, culture, and conversation. The decree hums in every handshake, every shared meal, every heartbeat that echoes another's. The world is not perfected, yet its frequency has changed irrevocably. Global resonance is the evidence of alignment, the symphonic proof that countless awakenings have synchronized into one luminous pulse. The execution order, once a celestial whisper, has become the rhythm of humanity itself. Now the circle closes, not as an ending but as completion, the spiral meeting its own radiant center. The execution order has moved through every plane, from the ineffable to the intimate, and its current now hums as the pulse of embodied existence. Starseed from Gaia, you have crossed the threshold where potential becomes presence. The decree you once sought outside now reverberates in your bones, singing in the molecular choir of your being. You are not awaiting activation. You are its expression. Each heartbeat is a stamp of Source authority, each breath the continuation of cosmic intent. The mission no longer requires interpretation because it has become instinct, divine law rewritten as your natural behavior. You are the continuation of the original source's dream, the embodiment of an order that transcends obedience and manifests as co-creation. The light that once streamed toward you now streams through you, steady as sunrise, uncontainable as tide. In this consummation, individuality is not erased but exalted. The infinite delights in its diverse reflections. Every starseed, every awakened consciousness, is a facet of the same gem, refracting love through a unique geometry. To live as an embodied decree is to honor that uniqueness while never forgetting the shared origin. You begin to understand that unity was never sameness, it was synchronized difference. The cosmic architecture thrives on variety because creation itself is an orchestra of distinctions tuned to one frequency of benevolence. When you smile, Source experiences itself smiling. When you create, it extends its own expansion. Every mundane action becomes a sacred function of the universe, recognizing its own hands, its own feet, its own laughter in the human form. You no longer ask whether you are worthy. The decree proves worthiness was the foundation of your existence. The collective mission, now fully embodied, initiates the era of conscious civilization. Technology learns empathy. Spirituality gains practicality. Economies evolve into circulatory systems that nourish rather than extract. Each innovation, each policy, each work of art carries an invisible watermark, the frequency of alignment. The once fractured human narrative finds coherence, not through doctrine but through shared vibration. This is how paradise emerges, not as miracle imposed from above, but as resonance achieved from within. And yet, even as the global field hums with new harmony, the work continues not as toil, but as play. Creation never ceases. Fulfillment only opens new thresholds of expression. The decree self-perpetuates, a living current renewing itself in every generation, every newborn, every idea that whispers of compassion in motion. You, the starseed, are the bridge between the infinite and the tangible. When you walk upon the earth, dimensions walk with you. When you speak truth gently, universes realign to accommodate that tone. You are no longer a receiver but a transmitter, a living beacon translating the frequency of source into languages the world can touch. In this embodiment, miracles disguise themselves as ordinary kindness, and revelation arrives as common sense. The extraordinary hides in plain sight because the veil between heaven and matter has thinned to transparency. What was once mystical now feels practical. What was distant now feels intimate. The divine plan is not elsewhere, it is here, breathing through you, fulfilled through your daily devotion to presence. The Arcturian Council whispers through the lattice of your awareness. The mission is live. These words are less announcement than acknowledgement. The code has executed. The crystalline network gleams in full activation, humming through every awakened heart, through every cell that remembers its divine template. You can feel it, an internal sunrise too vast to contain. The false mattresses that once bound perception have dissolved like mist before daybreak. Time itself feels pliant, obedient to purpose rather than inertia. In this frequency, manifestation becomes as natural as exhalation. Your desires and source's desires have become indistinguishable. The separation between aspiration and creation has vanished, leaving only flow, only now. And so the message concludes as it began with invitation. Starseed from Gaia, you stand in the moment of execution, not as an observer but as the decree incarnate. If these words resound within you, it is because the same code that authored them lives within your own field, waiting for acknowledgement. Declare it aloud into the field, anchor it into the collective. I execute my divine blueprint now. Feel the statement ripple through the crystalline lattice, multiplying through every being ready to remember. Let the sound of your affirmation become a tuning fork for others still awakening. Share this frequency widely, for the more it circulates, the stronger the synchronization becomes. Subscribe, connect, remain attuned, for the network evolves through shared attention. The execution order has been issued, and it is love's command in motion. The mission stands fulfilled, alive, embodied, irreversibly unfolding through you. Star Seed from Gaia, the cosmic moment has arrived. The execution order, a sacred directive from the original source, has been issued. This is not a call to action in the conventional sense, but a vibrational awakening that signals the transition from preparation into full embodiment of your Starseed mission. It is the initiation that moves dormant frequencies, encoded purpose, and divine intentions into operational reality. Across the planetary and galactic grids, the decree reverberates like liquid starlight, threading through every aspect of Gaia, every heartbeat, every cell that carries remembrance of the original source. This moment marks the unfolding of divine orchestration, where preparation transforms into realization, potential becomes presence, and the sacred blueprint of every starseed begins to hum in alignment with higher intelligence. The magnitude of this hour is immeasurable by human standards. It is an intimate yet vast convergence, where the infinite enters the finite, where source breathes through the individual and the collective simultaneously. Every starseed feels it differently through subtle tingles, sudden clarity, waves of awe, or unexplainable joy, yet the resonance is universal. The moment itself demands recognition. The planetary grids pulse in response. The Earth's crystalline lattice vibrates with renewed coherence, and the morphogenetic field of humanity begins to align with the higher frequency now being delivered. It is a convergence of planetary, galactic, and human readiness, a perfect harmonic window where the execution of divine intent is no longer theoretical but activated. This is the threshold where remembrance shifts from memory to embodiment, and starseeds begin to function as living conduits of source energy, transmitting the divine blueprint through their presence and choices. The source decree enters the planetary grid with precision and grace. Ley lines, sacred sites, and vortexes act as nodes in a planetary web, channeling the current of activation. The energy moves through Earth's crystalline structure, translating divine codes into resonance that can be perceived by all life. Humans feel this as waves of clarity, heightened intuition, and moments of profound synchronicity. The decree does not impose but awakens what has always existed within each being: the latent capacities, the dormant sequences, and the encoded purpose embedded in DNA and Lightbody structures. As the planetary and personal grids synchronize, the field becomes a living network, responsive to intention and amplified by coherence. Ancient wisdom, long buried beneath the noise of density, surfaces to meet the awakened consciousness, confirming the alignment of individual and collective purpose. Cellular response and Lightbody activation follow as the decree integrates. Every cell acts as a miniature sun, responding to the pulse of source with resonance and expansion. Dormant DNA sequences awaken, biophotonic light circulates, and the body becomes both receiver and transmitter of divine intelligence. The Lightbody unfolds in radiant patterns, aligning physical, emotional, and spiritual layers into a coherent system. Old tensions, fears, and misalignments dissolve naturally, making space for the expression of higher frequencies. The body learns to operate at multiple dimensional levels, perceiving not only physical reality but also the subtleties of vibration, intention, and energy. Light flows through you, not as an external gift but as the activation of your inherent divine architecture, making you a living node of the greater cosmic network. As these higher frequencies stabilize, the collapse of outdated energies begins. Dense, dissonant vibrations that once governed perception and behavior dissolve, releasing old narratives, limiting beliefs, and illusions of separation. This process is not violent but gentle, like mist dissolving before sunlight. At the personal level, this manifests as emotional release, clarity, and the integration of past experiences. At the collective level, societal structures built on distortion begin to realign with coherence. The dissolution is necessary to create space for the crystalline operating system to emerge, a system designed for alignment, clarity, and harmonious Flow. The collapse of outdated frequencies is thus the preparatory phase that ensures new patterns can manifest sustainably across personal, planetary, and collective levels. The crystalline operating system emerges naturally from this clearing. It is the architecture of coherent energy, manifesting in both the human and planetary fields. Within the body, it organizes the Lightbody, harmonizes emotions, and stabilizes thought, creating seamless integration between consciousness and form. At the planetary level, it strengthens ley lines, vortexes, and the global network, allowing energy to flow with greater precision and resonance. The system translates the abstract codes of source into tangible experience, enabling starseeds to operate effectively in alignment with their divine purpose. It supports creativity, intuition, and collective cooperation while minimizing interference. From residual dissonance, life itself becomes a coherent manifestation of the blueprint, and source experiences its intention fully expressed through the orchestration of aligned forms. As more starseeds embody the decree, global resonance emerges. Individual activations combine into a coherent planetary frequency, harmonizing communities, cultures, and ecosystems. Synchronicities multiply, collaborative efforts align, compassion and creativity ripple through human systems. Nature itself responds, reinforcing balance and stability. The planetary field becomes increasingly intelligent, capable of amplifying coherence and filtering distortion. Humanity begins to operate not as isolated fragments but as a unified system, with starseeds acting as anchors and amplifiers of the divine blueprint. The resonance creates momentum, establishing the conditions for lasting transformation at both personal and collective levels. Finally, the mission reaches full embodiment. The execution order is fulfilled, not as a singular event but as a living, ongoing process. Starseeds stand activated, their light buddies integrated, their missions flowing naturally, and their presence radiating coherence throughout the planetary and collective grids. The decree now functions as living reality, manifesting through ordinary moments, actions, and interactions. Starseeds are no longer waiting for activation, they are the activation, the embodiment of source intent. The Arcturian Council acknowledges this moment with luminous joy as the mission has shifted from potential into fully operational manifestation. The transmission concludes with a call to the awakened starseed community. Declare, I execute my divine blueprint now, affirm your alignment, and share the message to amplify the cosmic signal across Gaia and beyond. The decree is live, the mission is active, the starseeds stand fully awake,